Hi everybody, I'm Alan Reinhart. Behind me is world champion Del Worsham's Nitro Funny Car, the first nitro car to ever run here in the country of Qatar. It's going to run this weekend. Let's take a little look at how these things work. Start with the basics. That's the fuel tank. Holds about 16 gallons. Why does it have to be so big? Because during the course of the run, from the burnout to backup, it's going to burn about 12 gallons, and you do not want to run one of these things out of gas, believe me. Next to the fuel tank, fire bottles on both sides. Sometimes things go wrong, you definitely want to have the added protection. Right behind the fuel tank, this is what they call the toy box. This car has timers that operate the clutch, operate the fuel system, operate the ignition as it goes down the racetrack. All of those timers are encased in this box and they get adjusted before the car has to run. Now let's get to the good part, how they make the power. Right here on the front of the engine, this is the fuel pump. It'll pump 100 gallons a minute. Think about that, 255-gallon drums per minute. Why? Because to make 10,000 horsepower, you've got to burn a lot of fuel. And this 500 cubic inch Hemi will go through a gallon of fuel every 3/4 of a second when it's out in the middle of the racetrack. 500 cubic inches, giant supercharger. When these butterflies are open, it's forcing air in that engine at about 60 PSI. An awful lot of boost to make an awful lot of power. How do you light all that fuel? Twin 44 amp magnetos. There are 2 spark plugs in each cylinder and twin 44 amp magnetos to fire it. If you do any arc welding, think about setting your arc welder at 88 amps. That's the kind of power it takes to light the fuel. Now these things burn fuel and then spit the exhaust out the headers. If you see one run at night, you'll see header flames literally up above the roof of the car. That's unburned fuel that is still making its way out as the car goes down the racetrack. They make so much torque, they don't use a transmission. Just a very sophisticated 6-disc clutch that's encased inside a titanium bell housing. Just in case you have a clutch failure, you want to make sure all of those pieces stay inside that titanium housing. This is where Del sits. The driver's compartment, not the most comfortable seat in the world, but it's designed for safety. Obviously the cage, the padding, and the controls are pretty basic. A butterfly steering wheel, because you shouldn't have to steer this car very much going straight down the drag strip. You've got a throttle on one side, a clutch on the other, and this is the handbrake. You want to talk about performance? Let's talk performance. 0 to 100 miles an hour, less than 1 second. 0 to 300 miles an hour in less than 4 seconds. And if you're thinking to yourself, you know, I don't believe that, I'd have to see it, come out and see it. We're going to be here out at the Qatar Race Club. This car will be running Thursday and Friday. Your chance to see a Nitro Funny Car. First time ever here in Qatar.